So picture this. It's freezing outside, and you've got a gymnasium full of wild kids just bouncing off the walls. They've got nowhere to put all that restless energy. A gym teacher named James Naismith looks at this total chaos and realizes he's got to invent a game that keeps everyone safe. No tackling, no running and hitting, just pure skill. So he wanders around, finds a plain old soft soccer ball, and grabs a couple of wooden peach baskets from the janitor. He's just trying to solve a cold afternoon with whatever happens to be lying around.
He takes those wooden baskets and nails them way high up on a balcony. It's actually pretty brilliant, because it forces everyone to toss the ball upward, safely into the air, instead of just hurling it super hard at ground level. And since the rules say you absolutely cannot run with the ball, you have to pass it around to your friends. Can you imagine the sheer mess before they actually knew what they were doing? It feels exactly like playing hot potato on a frozen pond. You just have to keep it moving, relying totally on your team.
But there was this really funny catch in the beginning. Whenever someone actually scored, the ball just sat there, completely stuck inside that peach basket. The game would totally stop, and the poor janitor had to drag out this tall ladder and climb up so slowly just to pull it out. Eventually, people got totally exhausted waiting around, so they just cut the bottom out. Instantly, the ball falls right through, and the game speeds up like magic. And then you have the fans. They're sitting right at there on that balcony, leaning way over the edge and just swatting perfectly good shots right out of the air. To protect the game, a massive wooden board gets slapped up behind the basket. But then this total happy accident happens. Players realize they can actually bounce the ball off that board, angling it into the basket from all these wild, unexpected directions. Everyone really wants to move around, right? Well, out of pure desperation, someone realizes they can just bounce the ball against the floor to get around that no running rule. Suddenly, dribbling is born. But with everyone running and doing it all at once, those early courts get incredibly crowded. People are just crashing into each other. It's a bit of a chaotic, tumbling mess. To sort out the chaos, the rules gently shift to allow only a small, perfectly balanced crew per team. Just enough people so everyone has plenty of room to breathe, move around, and actually touch the ball. With the floor finally opened up, the game just takes off, spreading rapidly to schools everywhere and filling up wooden gymnasiums with the echo of bouncing shoes. But people get a little too smart. Teams start getting a tiny lead, and then they just hold the ball, playing this maddening game of ultimate keep away. The only way the other guys can get it back is to foul them on purpose. The whole thing gently slows down to a crawl. It gets so incredibly sleepy that the sport actually falls into deep trouble, and folks just stop coming to watch. Well, a guy named Danny Biasone completely saves the sport by dropping the shot clock into the mix. Suddenly, teams can't just stall. It injects this frantic, do-or-die urgency, exactly like a ticking countdown in a video game when you're running out of time. Suddenly, the game is super fast. Players are sprinting up and down, and scores are soaring into the clouds. And because you have to shoot so quickly now, players invent this beautifully graceful move, the jump shot. Forget the clunky early days of standing flat on the floor. Now they leap high into the air, releasing the ball in a flash over towering defenders. It just looks like pure floating art. Of course, really tall players figure out they can just dominate the middle of the floor. They stand right near the basket, easily snatching up missed shots and softly swatting away anyone else's attempts. It gets a little frustrating for the shorter players. They desperately need some kind of new advantage just to stay alive out there. So they paint this massive curve on the floor. It completely rewrites the DNA of the game, turning smaller, sharper shooters into absolute lethal weapons. Why? Because the extreme risk of shooting from way out there is finally worth the bigger reward. Suddenly, those incredibly accurate players become totally priceless to have around. Because defenders have to run out and guard that huge open space, the whole court just breathes and opens up. And that's when passing becomes the ultimate secret weapon. The ball can fly through the air so much faster than anyone's running feet, completely surprising the defense and just sharing the joy of an easy score. Trying to play defense against all this speed and passing is incredibly exhausting work. You have to constantly slide your feet and completely ignore all those tricky, flashy ball movements. You just focus intensely on the opponent's chest, quietly reading their body to anticipate where they're going to step next to protect your basket. Now, if things get too chippy and someone gets hacked, a sharp whistle blows. All that intense action stops immediately, just keeping things calm and fair. And the player who got fouled gets a sweet little reward, a completely unguarded shot, totally alone.
Stepping up for this free throw is this really intense, quiet, mental test. The whole gym goes completely silent. You're standing there alone, trying to calm your breathing. It feels exactly like trying to thread a tiny needle while 1,000 people just sit there and stare at you. All that explosive movement takes a massive toll, which is why you have to be in absolute peak physical shape. It's just constant sprinting and jumping. That's why having really strong rubber-soled shoes becomes totally essential. You need them to grip the floor, stop you from slipping, and gently protect your ankles from twisting when you land.
Eventually, the game breaks out of those pristine indoor gyms and moves outside to these gritty, tough asphalt parks. Out there, it's a whole different animal. You have to adapt to unforgiving metal chain nets, a brutal beating sun, and strong winds that can just push your perfectly aimed shot right into the sky.
But the really wild beauty of it all is that you don't even need a team to play. You can just grab a ball and be totally alone out there in the twilight. You can practice for hours, just imagining these massive moments, counting down out loud to yourself for a pretend championship. And when you're in a real game, totally tied up, with only seconds left on the clock, the tension is just unbelievable. Everyone in the building holds their breath. The best player gets the ball, launches it high into the air, and that incredibly loud final buzzer sounds out. The ball just hangs there, gracefully floating in the air. Time seems to completely stop for just a second. And then, when it finally drops perfectly through that net, the entire crowd just loses it and goes absolutely wild. Beyond all those flashy, thrilling moments, there's something so much deeper happening. It gently teaches you how to really trust other people, how to handle losing with grace, how to practice hard, and how to communicate, just pointing out an open space for a tired teammate who really needs a hand. It just welcomes everybody, whether you're incredibly tall, super quick, or just really smart. There's a spot for you. It's grown into this massive universal language where these professional stars are global heroes, and kids all over the world are out there right now speaking the exact same language of the sport. Those old wooden peach baskets are long, long gone. Now we have these sleek modern metal hoops and incredibly strong nylon nets, all governed by very strict rules. But if you really look closely, the core soul of it remains exactly the same as it was on that freezing afternoon. It's a moving puzzle. It takes basic running and jumping and turns it into art, where 5 people somehow share one single mind. It proves that just sharing a simple ball can create absolute magic. It makes you wonder, with players getting faster, taller, and shooting from further away, what on earth is this game going to look like in another 50 years? If you felt a little bit of that magic today, drop a like, share this with your crew, and hit subscribe.